Good morning, everyone. Sorry I couldn't make it to class today, but I wanted to share some study tips with you for your continued study of this class and hopefully other classes as well. So, us humans are very creative creatures, so we like to do things in stories and pictures, and sometimes the rote memorization or things in a very linear fashion are helpful to some people and helpful at some times, but sometimes they're not. And it's better to do things to take the time to make a story. So today we're going to make a little character, and we're going to do it kind of in two different ways. One way we're going to do it in more of a narrative form and tell a story about Charles P., who's going to be Chen P. And in another way we're going to draw a picture of Charles P. and note the benefits of Chen P. that way. All right, so let's start with the narrative. Okay, so this is going to be, we're going to give him a name, and we're going to leave the last name as P so that we remember that it's Chen P, and we're going to use the C from that to go to Charles, to a name that we're more familiar with. You can pick another name if another name is more suiting for what you would remember. All right, so we're going to tell a story about Charles P, and it will include the benefits of Chen P so that you can remember them. So say Charles P is an athlete and he's got exercise-induced asthma. So then we're going to remember that Chen P dilates bronchi to treat asthma. Okay, he's often sore after his exercise. So it has anti-inflammatory qualities. And he's often constipated. It increases peristalsis. His blood pressure is a little high. So Chen P may increase blood pressure a little bit. He takes cordyceps to increase his lung strength and endurance, and has been adding Chen P to enhance its effects. So Chen P helps cordyceps and enhances cordyceps effects, which include, for most medicinal mushrooms, to be an immunomodulator, as well as for cordyceps to be a great antioxidant, which is actually a quality of many medicinal mushrooms as well. So it enhances those effects for it. And then recently, Charles P got a strong sunburn running out in the hot sun for too long. So Chen P can actually be used as a topical application for first and second degree burns. And Charles P also loves that Chen P, taking Chen P, helps his cardiac output without changing his heart rate. So athletes are all about having their cardiopulmonary system especially functioning really well. So there's a story about Charles P that you can try to remember. Of course, you can make up your own story, but I just wanted to give you an example. Okay, and then we're going to draw a little picture of Charles P, and this might be another way you can remember it. Get you a little closer here. Don't seem to have my red pen, so I'm going to use some different ones. So you can always use colors or anything that helps you remember things. So firstly, we're going to talk about, remember there's some cardiac stuff with Chen P. Okay? So it's going to, in a small dose, it's going to increase the contractility of the heart, and it's going to not change the heart rate. And in a large dose, it's going to decrease the heart rate and decrease the contractility of the heart. Okay, so there's that. Another thing along those lines is that it may increase blood pressure. So I'm going to kind of do this kind of thing. May increase blood pressure. Okay, so we've got that. Then we're going to take a look at, we're in that same kind of cardiopulmonary area. We're going to put some little lungs in here. And we're going to remember that it is a bronchodilator. or dilates the bronchioles to treat asthma. Same thing. We'll use the more medical term there. All right. We're also going to just have some, this is my little sign for kind of like fire over here. And of course you could do this in red. And I'm going to put down for anti-inflammatory. Then we'll change colors, mix it up a little. Then I'm going to put his little hand here, and I'm going to put topically for burns. And you could put something like ouch or hot to remind you of those things. Okay? Then we're going to do a little intestine. We're going to put increases peristalsis. And then we're going to have him with his little cup of cordyceps over here. And we're going to put increases cordyceps benefits. So there's Charles P. in an illustrated form. Okay, I also encourage you to do flashcards. I would really encourage you to find a partner in this next week, and this may be part of your homework, and ask them how they effectively study, because we can really help each other with certain little tips and kind of talk things out. It's really helpful to study with another person, really, really helpful. If you don't have that other person to study with, flashcards are kind of the second best bet, because what they're doing is on one side they're asking you, say put Chen P on one side, and on the other side it's going to have this picture, it's going to have a story, it's going to have bullet points that you need to go through, however you'd like to arrange it. And then what you could do, of course, with flashcards is that you could read them from the Chen P side and go through them like that. And then you could flip them around and go through them from the information side or from the little picture side and say, which person is this, if I'm going to call him Charles P. And what is the herb that I'm looking at here? So it helps work your brain in different ways, which can be very helpful. And flashcards are basically doing what a person would do, and they're eliciting something from you. They're asking you a question. The problem sometimes with looking at a piece of paper and doing rote memorization is that we kind of check out and we don't get as engaged with the material, and no one's asking us questions. And so we're not eliciting the material out of us. It's relying a lot on a certain part of our brain, which maybe isn't as effective. Stick with study methods that are effective for you, but also it can be very helpful to try new ones. And that's why I wanted to introduce a couple that I've enjoyed here. Another way that you can do it is when you're looking at categories, kind of like the handout I gave you before. You can do it in kind of a linear fashion where you're kind of making a chart and you're organizing the material. Another way, of course, is to do it, like I said, where you go, okay, all the anti-diabetic drugs, put them here. Or if a person has diabetes, don't use these, and just keep a running list of those. That's another way to organize it. So it's important to invest a lot of time in this class, especially if you didn't do well on the midterm and you're feeling like you're lost or feeling behind, so that you can really engage with the material. The great thing is you already know these herbs. You know them already. Some of them maybe don't know as well. Some of them are like your favorites. So you really use that information too. So if you know the Chinese part of what they do, then you can try to match that to the Western pharmaceutical part of what they do. So if they happen to treat coughs, and then, they're also a bronchodilator, like Chen P does both of those, wonderful, right? So that makes sense in our brain. We can put those two together. We can put those two pieces of information together. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions for me at all, please email me or post it on the board so that everyone can benefit and we can have a conversation about it. I hope next week that we'll have new and exciting things to do, and I'm thinking of new ways to present the material to you so that it can be more and more helpful. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week, and I hope to hear from you on Populi. Bye.